Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Jupiter transit video. Oh, look, I got a cat in the video. Now I'm gonna get like a gazillion views, huh? So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about Jupiter transit in Sagittarius, retrograde back into Scorpio, which will be, I think, a 6-month retrograde from April 10th to May 11th or something like that. And so yeah, didn't really care to make it, but since you guys were begging me, I'm like, all right, let me make it. And one of the reasons why, I wanted to was encouraged to make this video because how people were just kind of running scared about Ketu coming into their second house or seventh house or the first house. This person who had Ketu coming into their 10th house were really scared. Okay. And they're like, company is not doing well. And, I don't know if I'm going to get fired when Ketu comes in. I'm really scared. And apparently they had 35 points in their 10th house through Ashtakvarga. And literally the next day of Ketu coming into their 10th house, they actually got a promotion. And of course, other things were matching with the Dasha and especially the Samsa chart. To show promotion. But I'm like, see, this is why you guys can't just run around being scared from all these planetary placements and retrogrades and Gandhantas and all of these things. Because the most important thing when you're judging a transit is to see the Ashtakvarga. So like I'm discussing Jupiter today, you want to see, especially in the reports that I give, the astrological reports, and there's this section, as you see on the screen, of Ashtakvarga. So you want to see the individual point that Jupiter is giving into into the house that is going to transit, because this is a chart that shows your ascendant. It's all these planetary numbers that you see are going to be, is showing the same chart because it's your ascendant. So you will see the number 5 on the top with every single planet, or number 2 on the top with every single planet, because 5 is Leo, 2 is Taurus, 1 is Aries. So you just go to the Jupiter section, and if let's say Jupiter is transiting your 6th house, look at the fact where is Jupiter going to be and what point Jupiter is giving, how many points Jupiter is giving. Jupiter is transiting your 4th house. Look at the fact how many points Jupiter is giving. So look at the individual points. 4 and above is going to be average. So 4 to like 6 is average, 6 to 8 is excellent. Okay. Then you want to see accumulated points. Okay, which is known as Sarvashtakvarga. And in this chart, you will see all the planets giving individual points to a particular house, and we add them up and we do Ekapadi reduction. And then you will see that if the house is receiving at least 28 and above, 28 to 32 is average, 32 and above is really good. Below 28, yes, the house is hurting, house is falling weak. And yes, all these accumulated points that you will see, they don't really add up to exactly the same value as you will do in your calculator or on your head, because there is a reduction that is done. It's a Varamira's reduction that is done automatically. And based on that, the points are always going to be less than what you really think. So this is why it becomes important to judge a transit. First of all, you can't judge a transit unless you know exactly what you're looking for. If Jupiter or debilitated Saturn is transiting your 4th house, well, first of all, what is it that you're trying to look for? And you have to see what is it that the timing is saying. If the timing of your Dasha period is showing that one has to travel to foreign lands, or one has to deal with something related to the elder sibling, Saturn transiting the 4th house won't be as important as that particular period unless you have something to do with the 4th house through Dasha. Then Saturn comes into the 4th house, and then you see less or more points, then you can judge. So you see how many layers of onion there is before you actually see that transit is working or not. Otherwise, all we need is just transit videos then. We don't need to learn astrology thoroughly. You just need to know about houses and transit and you can make predictions. Why is it that they don't happen? because of all these things. So always make sure to look at your Ashtakvarga, which is actually at the report right there. And on astrologycares.com under shop section, option 5 and beyond is just this PDF report that you will get. In that, just check this section to see, how many points you're getting. And that's it. There's a lot more to Ashtakvarga, but at least I'm giving you a very simple thing. And also for my books, consultations, check out the links there. And also my academy, Maga Vedic Academy, where I'm currently teaching divisional charts. And I'm just making them simple and easy. So anyway, let's get started with our Jupiter transit video. So Jupiter is currently in Vedic astrological system was in Scorpio, is back in its own sign of Sagittarius right now with Saturn and Ketu, and from April 10th to May something, it's going to be known as Gandhanta point, and after that it's just going to go be in Scorpio beyond the Gandhanta point, okay, and it's going to be going direct on August 11th, like I said. So first thing you got to know, okay, so Jupiter's Gandhanta. Okay, fine. What does that mean? What is that doing in an individual life? See, Jupiter Gandhanta may show something more broad for the world. But individual points, or not individual points, it's individual charts. Jupiter being Gandhanta is showing just simply untying of some karmic knot. Because anytime when a sign transits from water to fire, and especially when it's beyond 29th degree and below 1 degree, is that Gandhanta point of Jupiter. And whenever any planet goes into that, there is some untying of karma. What does that mean? That statement, what it means is that some karma needs to be resolved and dissolved. Because what is it? It's fire coming over water. And when fire comes over water, steam comes out and fire distinguishes itself. Okay? And what's happening is, because it's going from Scorpio is a still water. Scorpio is like a muddy water, still muddy water, where you may have like alligators and all that. Is dirty water. And so Jupiter, being in that dirty water, is burning itself by coming into Sagittarius, the fire of Dharma. This is one of the most important Gandhantas in Vedic astrology, because you'll have Gandhanta point going from Cancer to Leo. Okay? And then you'll have Gandhanta point going from Scorpio to Sagittarius, and then you'll have Gandhanta point from Pisces to Aries, water. But especially Scorpio to Sagittarius is the most important Gandhanta point, because this is where you're at the lowest point, okay, morally, okay, philosophically, literally, and astrologically, and then you're coming into the most highest, the most sacred of fire of Dharma, which is the fire of the ancestors. Why? Because Sagittarius is the original 9th house of ancestors. So whenever Jupiter transits from Scorpio to Sagittarius through Gandhanta point, okay, there usually people perform a lot of sacrificial rituals. And it's so strange, and this is not something that we planned because of this Gandhanta point, but I'm having, Eve come here, Togi come here, a couple of other astrologers coming here, hanging out with me for like 10 days, and we decided to do a havan in my home. And then I realized, when I was actually trying to prepare for this video, I'm like, oh my God, we're doing sacrificial burning to get rid of this dirt of Jupiter. But really, the Gandhanta points is really seen with birth chart more than transit. Transit is going to say more about the overall quality, and especially Gandhanta point will have severe effect or good effect depending upon That's right, Ashtakvarga. But one thing I will tell you when we look at Jupiter transit, as much as everybody says Jupiter is the most benefic planet, Jupiter is the guru, Jupiter is this, Jupiter is wealth and that, Jupiter is the heaviest planet in a person's life. Jupiter Dasha is the heaviest Dasha. Ask anyone who has gone through Jupiter Dasha. It wasn't fun and games. Most of the time, literally, it has been done, calculated 85% of the time, Jupiter Dasha is heavy. You see people passing away around you. You see heavy responsibility come around you. They even people go into depression in Jupiter Dasha. Why? Jupiter is Guru, the heavy one. It's like Guru is now sitting on your shoulder. And imagine how much knowledge Guru has, how much wisdom Guru has, how much discipline Guru has. And here you are, a teeny tiny normal human being with desires, with lust, with aim for success. And Guru kind of like puts a heavy damper on it because it really wants to make you open your eyes and look at things which are far more real than these small little things that you run after, which is money, car, home, all of these things. They may be important, but when you put so much emphasis on them, Jupiter becomes more heavy. It's like, I want that big house, I want that big fame, I want that big money. Boom, Jupiter keeps getting heavier. But in Jupiter Dasha, when you're like, I just want to know myself, I just want to be happy and just keep my family safe, it's a much more lighter effect of Jupiter. And so transit of Jupiter itself also is that heavy transit. Jupiter is a heavy transit. Sure, it's benefic, but it's only benefic depending upon your ascendant and depending upon the Ashtakvarga, depending upon the Karkavastha of Jupiter. So in Sagittarius, obviously Jupiter is in its own sign, right? But Jupiter is, imagine a guru with two people in home as a roommate. Guru likes to be alone most of the time, meditating. But here Guru is now with a judge and with a monk. So what happens now? Jupiter is actually kind of happy with Saturn and Ketu, because these are the two planets that are really about dharma. One's about moksha, just getting rid of things. One's about judging karmas. And Jupiter is about performing good karmas. That's why it's so heavy on us. Because most of the time we don't want to perform good karmas or truthful karmas. And Jupiter is in its own home, in its own sacrificial fire. So Jupiter becomes the heaviest in Sagittarius. Do you know that? As much as this is a Mool Trikon sign of Jupiter, it becomes the heaviest in Sagittarius because it's the fire of dharma. If you do not follow a certain dharmic principles, Jupiter is going to crush you. Saturn's going to judge you. Ketu is going to cut you. So this is the basic premises of this conjunction. But then, depending upon how the Ashtakvarga is an individual chart, if you get 19 points and Jupiter is giving 0 points to your house that is transiting, you're going to feel that crush far more than anybody else out there. And Jupiter, although it becomes quite philosophical in Sagittarius, Jupiter is about law in Sagittarius. Jupiter becomes, that's why I said it becomes heavy. It's about laying down the law. These are the principles. These are the law of the divine. They must be followed. And Saturn makes sure you follow. And Ketu says, if you don't follow it, I'll just cut you. Because Ketu does well in Sagittarius. It does well in Pisces. Ketu actually does well in Scorpio. These are the houses and signs which are away from our desired ventures. Most people don't care to be in a temple and worshiping gods. Most people don't care of dealing with their psychological baggages. Most people don't care to go on a spiritual pilgrimage. And when you're forced to deal with these things, you feel the world is crashing on you. And one thing I'll tell you, for those who have low points it's actually in a way a blessing, because it crushes you to understand life beyond your banking job, life beyond the things that are most important to you, which is your parties on Fridays, which is your penthouse apartment. And when you're crushed, then you look to God, then you look to psychologists and psychics. Believe me, wealthy people, the wealthiest people in America, and trust me on this, they don't just use mysticism and occult. They use Vedic astrology. They use Vedic astrology. Believe me, living in DC, I have found far more truth. You know when they say truth is stranger than fiction? Believe me, it is the strangest thing than fiction. And so this is where Sagittarius is one of the heaviest signs, depending upon who you are as an individual. If you're somebody who's just stuck in this game of always just consuming, Sagittarius will burn it all. It'll try to burn it all. But if you show a little bit of gratitude and divinity towards God, forget gratitude towards some other person, just show gratitude towards divinity and the supreme God, it'll help you. And this is where I kind of feel bad for atheists and agnostics, because they don't really care to understand. They think it's all about science. You know how limited science is? It's like, what is science? Science has to prove something exists physically and can be measured, can be observed. You tell a scientist, okay, can you measure love? Show me how much you love. Can you quantify how much you love? And then they might go into, well, your brain is releasing this chemical and this is what love is. Okay, now measure this love versus the love you have for your dog. Can you measure that? Oh, you can't measure it. Okay. So there's subtle things which are the most important that science just doesn't care to understand, doesn't care to go into, and only a few scientists have gone into it, and they have been legends of our time, like Einstein and Tesla and Michael Faraday. Okay, these people took science and understood that science has limitation and we must go beyond this thing called super science. Okay, right, granola? So Sagittarius is that one place where you're gonna have to kind of show some humility. Be humble. Like, okay, I don't believe in God, but I'll try. Nobody's telling you to go and believe in God and pray to Christ or Krishna. Just try to pray to yourself. Try to meditate. Try to understand, who am I? I want to know thyself. You're a scientist, right? You want to know where you came from. What is this freaking existence? Sagittarius is kind of helping you to understand yourself. It doesn't want you to go and sit in a mandir or mosque all day long. It just says, as long as you understand who you are truly, which you don't know, you're not your personality, you're not your desires, it's something beyond that. So this conjunction of Ketu, Jupiter, Saturn is an excellent conjunction for a spiritualist. Right now, whoever is, following a path of, let's say, monastic path, this is the greatest. Whether it's low Ashtakvarga points, high Ashtakvarga points. When it's low Ashtakvarga points, these people will be frustrated because they won't be able to get closer to God. It'll be work. If a monastic has higher Ashtakvarga points, they'll be like, my God, this is the strongest I've felt you. What is going on? And they may not know about Vedic astrology. Well, that's because probably Jupiter has the highest points. Saturn has given the highest points to that particular house that it's transiting in. And it's transiting on your ascendant, and all you can think about is being in isolation and wanting to follow divinity. And you become much more disciplined and principled during this time. So that becomes important. Now, the other thing you have to understand is that for Aries, let's say for Aries ascendant, Jupiter becomes an excellent planet. Taurus ascendant, it becomes the worst planet. Gemini ascendant, it becomes a neutral to below neutral planet. For Cancer, it becomes a conditional benefic planet. For Leo, it becomes a great planet. For Virgo, it becomes a conditional neutral planet. For Libra, it becomes a bad planet. For Scorpio, it becomes a great planet. And obviously for Sagittarius, it becomes a great planet. Capricorn, it becomes a bad planet. For Aquarius ascendant, it becomes a below neutral planet. For Aquarius, below neutral, and for Pisces, it obviously becomes a great planet. Why? Because Jupiter's house rulership. For Aries, Jupiter will rule the 9th house, which is Mool Trikon sign. Always look at the Mool Trikon sign of a planet to judge its spot for the ascendant. So for Aries, it rules the 9th house. For Taurus, it rules the 8th house. Dushtana, malefic house. For Gemini, it rules the 7th house, which is not really bad. It's a Marka house though. Death inflicting house, meaning it's a house of pressure. It's a house of responsibility. This is why marriage is death inflicting. People just feel like, what did I do? Why did I want to get married? And also it becomes a Kendrapati Josha, but there are some principles to that. It's not really a bad planet. But according to Parashara principles, when a benefic planet rules the Kendra, the quadrant houses, the 1, 4, 7th, and 10th house in any given chart, it loses its ability to give the highest of benefic results. It gives neutral results. And so for Cancer ascendant, it rules the 6th house with its Mool Trikon sign. 6th house is a Trik house, and it's a Prarabdha Karma house. It's a Dushtana house. So if Jupiter is transiting in the 6th house, then you want to see Jupiter being the house of enemies. Jupiter may burn enemies if you have good Ashtakvarga points there. Many people say if 6th house has more points, enemy stronger than you. You know where you know when that is true? It is true from the Arudha Lagna, not the regular Lagna. If from the Arudha Lagna, Arudha ascendant, which is the alternative ascendant in Vedic astrology, if you have strong Ashtakvarga points, 6th from itself, or heavy planets are setting there, yes, your enemy will destroy you. They'll be much more stronger than you. But from Arudha, if a planet is weak, debilitated planets are sitting there, and you're going to always destroy the enemy. But when from Lagna, from the ascendant, Jupiter has high points or good points, you can destroy the enemy. And for Leo ascendant, the Mool Trikon is in the 5th house. One of the highest of houses because it's the Bhavat Bhavam of the 9th house. 9th from the 9th. So 5th house is everything. It is the future. It is the children. It is the house of mantras and ancient knowledge. Why is it that 9th house is not the house of ancient knowledge? It's the house of the guru, where the knowledge is coming from, but the actual knowledge is the 5th house. This is why 5th house is the house of education. And 8th house has the sign of Pisces, which is about Kundalini experiences, mysticism, occult. Sure, it has scary things there, but the sign of Pisces is there. The mellow, watery sign, which also becomes the house of escapism. Pisces is about escapism. So once you see the rulership, like for Virgo again, Jupiter rules 2 quadrant houses. So it fails to sometimes protect or fails to give the most benefic results. For Libra, Jupiter rules the Trik house, 3rd house, and the 6th house. 2 Trik houses. So it is very heavy on Libra. It's not the most benefic planet for Libra ascendant people. For Scorpio, it rules the 2nd house of family, lineage, wealth, but also it's a Marka house again, because for responsibility of family, but the 5th house with the sign of Pisces. And then for Sagittarius is the ascendant lord. It is the ultimate planet for Sagittarius. And then it rules the 4th house, which is again a beautiful planet or beautiful home for Sagittarius. For Capricorn, it rules the 12th house of expenditure, losses, psychological undoing, bed pleasures. Then Jupiter in 12th house doesn't give bed pleasure. Guru does not want to have bed pleasures. Guru burns them. So you see, you want to see what's happening in Ashtakvarga wise. You know, if it's good Ashtakvarga points, you'll be inclined towards going on a pilgrimage. But Jupiter in the 12th house for Capricorn ascendant people, one loses their charm for sexual encounters. or even if you're married, just that sexual need won't be there. And yet Jupiter can bring vivid dreams, especially right now for Capricorn ascendant people. Whenever Moon will transit your 12th house while Jupiter is in the 12th house transiting, vivid visions and dreams will come. This is how you try to understand these transit things. And I'll go deep into transit in my academy too, because there are certain tricks to that can only be shown with certain methods. And then for Aquarius ascendant, it rules the second house, Marka house, neutral house, but a house of wealth, and the 11th house. Gains desires, but it's the highest of the trick house. See, trick, look at trick as trick. It's a tricky house. It's tricking you. It takes you all the way to the desires. And when you get every desire fulfilled, you're going to be much more unfulfilled. Why do you think these celebrities and athletes are so unhappy and miserable even after having millions and millions of dollars? They're the most unhappiest people because they are going towards the 11th house at all times. For an athlete, 11th house is everything. It is a house of achievements and awards, which is what? Championships, MVPs, scoring titles, defensive titles, this title. And they keep getting that and they keep thinking, oh, and now they get a bum rush. Like, yes, I need one more. Okay, I need one more. Like Michael Jordan. I got one championship. No, I need one more. Okay, now I need one more. I got 4 MVPs. I need one more. It becomes, it becomes an addiction. So 11th house is actually an addiction because it is fifth from, it is directly opposite to the 5th house. 5th house is gambling. Gambling is a form of addiction. And for Pisces people, it obviously rules the ascendant, which is, and also the 10th house. Now, for Sagittarius and Pisces, you may think it rules the 2 quadrant houses, but you got to first understand that the 1st house is a trikone. It's known as a trikone house, the trinal house. Then it becomes a quadrant house. So this way it loses its maleficness a bit. It's not really malefic, but it first is a trinal house, then a quadrant house. So Sagittarius and Pisces are okay with in those terms. But then it's going to go retrograde back into Scorpio on May, I believe. May to August. It's going to go retrograde back. Or no. April 10th is going retrograde, but it'll go back into Scorpio, I think by May. So going back into Scorpio, when a benefic planet, like Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, when they're retrograde, they kind of lose their ability to protect. Like, see, a benefic planet is there really to protect. And even in the sky, it'll look like Jupiter is moving back, although it's not. But in Jupiter retrograde time, do you know most asteroids can pass through Jupiter towards Earth or other planets? It's all scientific. Because remember, Jupiter is the one that actually protects, takes on all the asteroids within its zone. But for some reason, even though Jupiter is still direct in the sky, if you were to go to Jupiter, it's not moving back. But during the time of retrograde, most asteroids can pass through somehow. Maybe it kind of loses its magnetic field in that time, which science may discover later on. So you see, it's kind of like some do go through, but most can escape. And so when Jupiter is retrograde, our wisdom is retrograde. We kind of have, the morality is kind of like reverses itself. There's a loss of morals when Jupiter is retrograde. So in our own individual lives, we kind of lose morals towards certain things. And when you kind of lose morals, there is that ability, to get into trouble and not be rescued. Because you are the one who's, kind of making those bad decisions. Now, how do you protect yourself from that? Again, one thing is very simple, is awareness. But again, there is something called karma. If you have to pay something back in this time, just pay it. But again, most people will hate it because their consciousness level is right at the bottom of, their rectum. We're in the lowest form of chakra, but we need lowest form of chakra because that's what keeps us alive. Remember that too. But those who are at the higher chakras, higher activation of consciousness, they'll be able to understand that, okay, I have to not make bad investments in this time. Like usually, especially for people who are, let me see. Yeah, like for example, for Leo ascendant people, Jupiter is in the 5th house right now. Okay. And then Jupiter will retrograde back into the 4th house. And it'll start retrograding from Sagittarius. So in that period, try not to make any stock investments or any kind of investments. While Jupiter is retrograde, try not to buy any rental properties or buy a property because it could be a bad decision. You might be more influenced by your greed more than your sound judgment. Like for Cancer ascendant, it'll be in the 5th house. Don't make bad decisions with some investments. Oh, I want to go and get this stock and that stock. Oh, this stock is going live. Let me just put all the money in there. Don't. You got to be aware of things. The knowledge that you learn. If some new knowledge comes in this time, be aware of that. What is this knowledge? Why am I learning it? And who's teaching it? So just these awareness is kind of gets you through these times. But again, even a retrograde planet can do excellent. Usually the principle is if you have a retrograde Jupiter in your birth chart and then Jupiter is retrograde, it helps you. When you have a Jupiter direct and then a Jupiter goes retrograde, it teaches you. It's all of his teachings. No matter what, it's going to teach. Now, do you want to learn the hard way or the easy way? And that's where you just have to be self-aware that what decision. So when Jupiter, Mercury's decision, but Jupiter is the intelligence to make that decision. So when Jupiter is retrograde, you have to really kind of be just aware of it every second. What, like financial decision, especially decision with finance and children and organizations and religious decisions have to be carefully made during this time. So for example, when Jupiter goes retrograde in your 9th house, okay, so you've got Scorpio, in your 9th house, your Pisces ascendant. There are many people who will be unaware of this video or astrology in general, and they'll be like, that's it, I'm done with this stupid religion, I'm done with God. I thought my girlfriend was going to be with me and she just left me out of nowhere. Just screw this life, I hate everything. You see how we start to make these bad retrograded decisions based on that retrograde intelligence. So once you learn these small little games of the cosmos, then you can start playing the chess. Okay? But most important, and I make life easy with transit videos, the most important thing is look at Ashtakvarga. Look at Ashtakvarga and your life will be simple. Then you'll understand how much you really need to be aware and how much you can just kind of like slack off. Like a debilitated planet transiting in someone's 10th house, if it gives highest Ashtakvarga points, it'll be the time they actually prosper. While if a planet which is exalted in a sign and it gives the lowest point, 0 points, Sun gives 0 points in Aries in your chart, you will probably lose your job and you'll be like, oh my gosh, Sun was exalted, what's happening? Astrology doesn't work. Yeah, that's because you have limited knowledge of astrology. That's why it doesn't work for you. That's why you don't like it. So please be aware of it. Okay. And yes, my blessings are with you. If you have low points, may Yogananda Babaji and Mir Baba guide you guys through this hard time and give you the greatest divinity lessons. Okay. But anyway, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss these videos. And remember to get the reports here if you need to, or check out my academy at Thinkific link. Otherwise, we'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.